when you're communicating with somebody who is really kind of neat and conservative and dependent and really like perfectionist, we're data driven, just very careful, very compliant, that very, you're thinking, you know, engineers, CPA, that kind of stuff. And I don't want to overgeneralize, but computer program. But you're thinking that kind of really detail-oriented type of person. What are some do's for that?
Well, with this type of person, remember they're more introverted and they're more task oriented. So you want to prepare your case in advance. Okay. They're going to be paying attention to any details that you're going to be offering. So that's important to them. You want to stick to business with this person. You don't want to wander off the ranch. You want to be able to stick on the trail and be able to follow that line of discussion. Finally, be accurate and realistic. This person is not going to respond well to exaggerated claims or things that are very generic or general. So these are just three things that we're talking about now, but this will help you get that conversation off on the right foot and in a way that you're going to have a more receptive individual to communicate with.
Right. Because if you're looking at it and you're thinking, okay, well, this person is slower paced, task oriented,
Mm-hmm.
data and details are important to this person.
Oh, yeah.
If you're thinking, okay, well, if you're task oriented, you want to stick to business. You want to make sure, and not just you're making it up on the fly, you're preparing your case in advance, but that accurate and realistic is like, oh, it's monumental, it's the best ever, it's the biggest, it's the brightest, it's all these superlatives, just turn them off. Show me data, show me what you have. What do you have? What can you come up with? That it's not just this over the top thing that can just really drive them insane.
Mm-hmm.
So to finish up with these, what are three things that are the don'ts when you're communicating with somebody who's that more compliant type of behavioral style, who's, like I said, the slower pace, but very task oriented, very detail oriented type of person? What are the three don'ts?
Sure. Well, first, don't be giddy, casual, informal, or loud. They don't want a person to come across as braggadocious, slap them on the back, be boisterous. That's not going to work. Leave that approach at the door. Next, don't be domineering. I'm sorry, don't push too hard or be unrealistic with your deadlines. So in other words, don't say, well, here's what we got to do, and then you're going to have that done by this afternoon, right? No, 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 no. Remember, this person operates a little slower. You got to give them time to do this in a reasonable amount of time that's going to be within their expectations. So don't push too hard on being unrealistic with your timelines. And then finally, don't be disorganized or messy. Again, this person respects order, and you better demonstrate that if you want to get their cooperation in the way you want to get it.
Yeah, and one thing that really struck out to me is when you were talking about number two, is that pushing too hard and being unrealistic with deadlines. We need deadlines, we need accountability, we need things to get done in a certain time. But think specifically about these folks that doing their job right is important. Being precise is important. Making sure they have the data to back it up is important. And a lot of the things that are very important to these folks it isn't something that you can just, I'm going to go with my gut instinct and just put something down real quick and roll with it. It's not just intuition. It's, I want the facts. I want the research. Show me what's the page number? What's the citation? I mean, where can I go back and confirm this? And that doesn't just roll off the tongue. That's something that takes a little bit of time.
Mm-hmm.
So giving these folks the time that they need, but may not be able to, you still got to put some realistic deadlines on it. But when you're unrealistic with it, you're just pushing too hard, they're not able to do the quality work they want to do. It really puts a lot of stress on them. It ends up putting a lot of stress on you, because if you're that kind of really direct person that's, hey, we got to get this done, or pushing too hard, the problem ends up being you get an inferior product, doesn't look good on you. So it's just stress all the way around. So that one just really jumped out at me. So we talked about 4 do's and don'ts to prevent miscommunication. And we talked about that for someone who's a direct communication style, that task-oriented, fast-paced. We talked about it for somebody who's outgoing, who's fast-paced and people-oriented. We talked about that for a more predictable style, which is kind of a slower pace and people-oriented. And then we also talked about that for a kind of compliant behavioral style, which is more of the slower pace, but very task-oriented type of structure. So looking at that, you've got some do's, you got some don'ts. Like you said, I love the idea of the cheat sheet. Use it all the time. If you want a copy of that cheat sheet in a PDF form, just reach out to either Tom or myself. Be more than happy to get that to you. But what are some final thoughts that you have, Tom, about using these types of tools to really look at this observable behavior and make that jump from golden rule thinking to platinum rule thinking?
Well, I think the tools are available. We've got to use them. It's like everything else in life. If we wait to know and not to do is not to really know. Someone once said. So I guess that's my piece of advice here. And to sum this up is that utilize the tools that are available to you when it comes to communicating with other people. If you do, you'll just be that much further ahead when it comes to creating the kind of results you want in the long run.
Well, absolutely. And I'll leave with one thing for our viewers. If you think about John Maxwell talks about leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And the better you can communicate with somebody, the better you can increase your level of influence. And so by default, the more effective of a leader that you can become. So thanks for watching. And we appreciate you being here as a listener for Business Smarts Radio. And we will see you on our next episode.